Welcome to No Control. What do we have here? Well, we have a truck that I've been putting off buying for quite a while. It popped up on a Black Friday sale from A-Main Hobbies, so I purchased it. And then I realized I got to purchase the radio and receiver, the ESC, the motor separate, the servos separate, and it all kind of snowballed and piled up to about $200 worth of a tiny little truck. This is a kit. So it's going to take some time to put together. It's very small. It is the Orlandoo Hunter 132nd scale or Orlandoo Hunter 132nd scale. I've heard it both ways. This is a kit, as I said. So we're going to give you some basic steps to this. We're not going to give you the full-blown step-by-step guide because, frankly, it would take forever. And this thing, after looking at it, is so small that I'm kind of nervous about putting it together because some of the screws are tiny itty bitty screws. Hopefully they send you some tools that are that small, or I might actually have to buy some because I'm not so sure I have stuff that small. Well, let's get into it. We're just going to start saying the cage is assembled, and we're going to start there, and we'll give you some steps, and at the end we'll see what it's like. Dash is in, center console's in. What are we moving on to now? Looks like we got a bunch of side panels to put on, which will be a lot of these guys. Are they numbered? Kind of, but not really. All right, so we got to cut a bunch of these little metal ones out again. As you can see, one done. Looks like 15 to go, so I'll get all these on and we'll wrap back up when all the plates are on. All right, so we're back. I put all the plates on, as you can see, that's glued on. We got the servo in, and we have the sway bars in. And these are tiny little pieces, and they don't really like to go in real well. So what I'll say is you really need to like to build and assemble small, intricate things to build this kit. And it turns out, as I'm reading through the instructions, I actually need to order a motor and plate, which I didn't know, and probably should have just read more, and I would have known, but now I got to get one of those on the way, so this thing costs even more than I originally thought. But we're this far in, might as well continue on with it. So we got now is we've got to put the spindles on, which I pre-assembled with the bearing, the shaft, and these little ball things here. We got the A-arms to put on, and get used to using this because it is all of this stuff is that now. I'll get rolling on putting those in. Got a bunch of small shocks to build and cross steering arms and everything else. So I'll probably pre-assemble all those and we'll get back to putting this thing back together and showing you the highlights. This is a crazy intricate kit here. Yeah, we got to get the front arms on, which means I need these little steel tiny spacers. Get those all cut out. Get the front A-arms on, and then we're pretty much at a point where I need to build a bunch of shocks. We're back. The motor showed up in the mail. Had to get one, a special for this. No big deal, we got it. In the meantime, I got the front suspension assembled. You'll see it's got two different types of shocks on it. These shocks are tiny and a pain to build. One's an outer spring, one's an inner spring. We've got the front sway bar installed here. Front spindles, steering assembly, and the servo. On the back, we have the rear sway bar assembly attached. So what we need to do now is get that motor installed into the motor plate, get the ball ends all put in that it needs to be. Got to get the rear end assembled. Bunch of pieces, some bearings. These are the ball end things I was talking about. Bearings for the rear end. We do have the rear shocks already assembled. They were such a pain that I don't think I would have been able to do them on camera even if I wanted to. You wouldn't have been able to see anything with just my big hands twisting around. This is the final part of the rear end. That's the drive section. So we got to get all this assembled and put together. And then once we do that, we can get the rear arms on. Shocks go into there. These mount up to there. The whole process. So I guess the best thing is to get this thing and get assembling it. Tire, the foam, and the wheel. So we get the wheel, the tire, foam goes on the tire goes on the wheel. Not that difficult. There's that part. Now, they appear to be the same inside and outside. They both have the same writing on them. So I'm going to assume that it's universal. And once you get the wheel inside the tire, now these ones that are going to be run on the truck have foams in them. The two on the back for looks do not have foams installed in them. And those ones will not need to be glued, but I think I want to put a dab of glue on these. Not that this thing's going to be a powerhouse, but they seem to spin pretty easy on the wheel, so we'll just put a dab of tire glue on there, and then we won't have to worry about it again. So there's the wheel. 4 with foam, 2 without. Not a big deal. This is the motor I had to order. It's a 3,000 RPM Orlandoo Hunter motor with a step-down gear drive. Designed specifically for these little trucks they make. There are different RPMs, so you get a look. This is the highest RPM one I could find. I think a lot of the rest of them are meant for crawling and tiny little rigs, but as you can see here, we got a step-down gear drive thing here, so it should be, this is what the truck calls for, so it should be exactly what it needs. All right, so here's the 1/32 scale Orlandoo or however you pronounce it truck, 90% together. We have all the electronics in it. They've been tested. They do work. It took a little finagling to get them to work. We did buy the controller and ESC that came recommended with it. So it took a little bit, but we finally did get it to work. So there's not a whole lot of room in this thing. So it's kind of crazy, the lengths you got to go to here just to get the battery in and out. They claim it fits in the back. I couldn't get it to fit in the back very well. And plugging it in and taking it out is not real enjoyable in a tight little space, I will say. So, as you can see, steering works. And when you start it, when you hit the throttle, it actually sounds like it's starting up. So, forward and reverse, it's been tested. The steering works. We didn't put any of the light kit on it. It's too far in depth for me. As it was, this thing was very frustrating for me to put together. But it's almost done now. So, I had Brandon wrap this body for me. Painted it, wrapped it. So we'll be installing this onto here. Use these mounts. So it uses these mounts that screw on, and then the rubber thing goes actually in the body and it just presses on. Hoping the same size as the wheels, and it doesn't look like it is. And of course, the tool that they included with it doesn't actually fit to that. It only fits on the wheel things. They couldn't have just made them both the same size, would have made things easy, but no, just like everything else with this thing, it's going to be a pain in the rear. So here it is. I will say this is a killer looking little truck, and overall the detail on it's pretty amazing, but you really have to like to assemble tiny little things. I would say this is like building a ship in a bottle. You have to think ahead and line things up and use things to move other things, or doing a puzzle that's mostly blue sky. For me anyway. Some people enjoy that. This was tedious and frustrating to me. But with the finished product, pretty neat. And with the sound and everything. So we start with the Orlandoo Hunter 1/32 scale truck on the end. We move to the Team Associated truck. That's a 1/28 scale. This is the Axial Yeti Jr. That's the 1/18 scale. That's the Arma Centon 1/10 scale. The Mojave 6S 1/7 scale. And the Losi Baja Ray 2.0 1/6 scale. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference between these trucks. So as I said, killer little truck, sound thing's really neat. Now this wrap is from JSD Graphics, got them right on eBay. Killer thing, looks great, high quality. But this truck, I will say, if it came ready to run as a assembled thing for the price that I have into this whole setup, which is a little over $200, believe it or not, by the time you get all undone with all the nickel and dime stuff, probably nobody would buy them, to be perfectly honest with you, or very, very few people. It is neat, but for $60, you can buy one of these ready to run that honestly, yeah, it's not the scale truck, but this outperforms this really on a fun scale and power scale by a lot. You can see the size difference. Like the realistic thing, yeah, it's cool, it's neat, but $200 here, $60 all in here. And this one, I've had tons of fun with inside. This one, it is what it is. It's neat. Fun factors, a little lacking. Maybe if you wanted to drive around on your desk or something at work, have at it. It was something I wanted to buy, so I did. And it would be the only one I buy. That's what I'll say about these kits. If these were cheaper, I'd buy another one and try to challenge Brandon to put it together to see if he got as frustrated as I am. But for the price point, I don't know if the enjoyment factor evens out there. See the size comparison here, and as you saw earlier in the video, we went from the smallest one here and we went up for the scales that we had. We are missing the new Mojave 4S that is like a size in between the Centon and the 6S Mojave, but it's on back order. We didn't get the first shipment, so hopefully as soon as that comes, we can get a video out for that. I'm really interested. It looks like a lot of fun. But I think that's the only size really missing other than the 1/5 scale gas-powered one. And like I said, those are a little too pricey for me at the moment, but, you know, maybe someday. So like always, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We hope either A, you decide, hey, it's worth the hassle, and I really want one of these, or you figure, yeah, that's probably not worth it. You know, like I said, kind of nickel and dimed. You got up to over $200 for this tiny little thing. That's a decision you have to make. Is it worth it?